So welcome back. I'm actually at my house. I know, a rare occasion to be on camera here since everything's been moving out to the new place. We don't have too many more updates here on the yard, but there are a few things today that I did want to show you real quick that's been going on here at my house currently. So the first thing would be this backyard. I want to show you a photo from August 14th. If you'll remember the season that I completely let this thing go dormant. I wanted to see how resilient it was going to be, and also there's a lot of times that people in the summertime, if you're new to lawn care, or even some people who have known about lawns for a long time, think that cool season grass, when it gets all brown and everything, is dead and it's not going to come back. But I wanted to show that again, and honestly I didn't have a whole lot of time to be continuing to mow back here, so it was a good break to just let that be dormant, let it be what it was going to be, and it got pretty brown and toasty. We had close to 6 weeks where there was no rainfall of any significance on it. We just got about 2 inches of rain in the last week or so, and a lot of cooler temperatures at night. It's still been fairly warm during the day, up around 90 quite a few times as well, but the evenings are getting a lot cooler, and there'll be dew on the ground now until right now it's about 11 a.m. This is quite the amazing thing that cool season grasses can do, where in a matter of, it seems like just days, they go from that brown all the way back to this green color. And I haven't applied anything to this yet. I'll probably do my first fertilizer application very soon, but I probably won't go too crazy on this, but I do want to get some fertilizer on it this fall and have it looking nice for when we sell our house. Now you will see a few areas like this where you see some brown spots throughout here, and part of this is probably some dog spots. Our dogs come off of the deck around in this area, but also sometimes when you let that stuff go completely dormant, there will be a few areas of die-off like this. So what you can do is, if you have something like Kentucky bluegrass and there's small spots like this, you can just continue to feed it during the fall and let it fill back in. Usually the fall season, that will be fairly quick. It's not going to be instant, but if that's what you want to do, you could do that. If you have another grass type like fescue or perennial rye, and you have some larger spots like this that are not going to fill in because it's not a aggressive spreading grass, it will tiller out all these plants, and you might not notice this spot being quite as big. But you definitely, if you have those grass types, want to rake out this dead stuff, make sure you can see down to the soil, put some seed in there. I usually just lightly step on it to push it right onto that soil layer, and then just go ahead and maybe cover it with a really light top dressing. Watering it if you can would be great, but usually if you're looking at getting some rainfall consistently, you're usually going to be okay, because a lot of moisture here is going to be held in, and like I said, you're also getting dew in the mornings as things cool down, at least here in our region here in the Midwest. So those are just some quick tips on fixing some of these spots if you have them, but there is some bluegrass here in this yard that I think I'm just going to let it be and see what it looks like in the next few weeks, whether or not I need to add anything to this or not. Next thing up on the list is I wanted to show you this tall fescue that I've been reel mowing all year this year at 3/4 of an inch. I let this go completely dormant, just like the backyard, so everything that you see here was brown and dry and everything just a couple weeks ago. And now it has come back to life. This is still being cut the same height. Everything looks really, really good. I haven't added anything to this either in terms of fertilizers or anything else. There's one spot up here which I will show you that looks like it probably got too dry. There's a spot right through there that has a lot of compaction to it, and looks like that maybe didn't come back fully, but the rest of this looks really, really good. And oh yeah, one more thing to tell you about. I know you've all been waiting for this moment. So that's the updates here, but let's head out, see how the new grass seed is doing and all the plots out there. So just a really quick reminder right here, this is our last weekend for the $20 lawn renovation and overseeding guide. So if you want to grab that, this is the last weekend for that sale. We have a couple other specials for Labor Day, so check the description below or the pinned comment right at the top of the comment section to learn all about those deals. Okay, so we're back out at Westbury Acres, and this is day 8 today after my seeding projects that have been started out here, so I want to show you what's going on. Very happy with what's happening so far, and I want to mention that I think what I've learned so much over the years about renovations is that the best thing you can do is spend the extra time. Sometimes it's a little extra money, but put it into the proper way to cover your seeds. And we had a really big rainstorm out here, and I don't see any washout anywhere. I don't see anything major that happened, so I'm very happy with what I did to put seeding blankets down, and I'll also tell you about that Slope Master product that I'm using as well, as I've been trying that out too. All right, let's start out at the front. This is not a new plot, but this is one that I did in the springtime, so this is a spring seed. So you'll see all these dead spots. I tried to kill off some of the stuff that I wanted to get out of here, but I have some spot seeding to do. The rest of it looks fairly good. I just have some weeds to take care of, and I'll get started on this seeding part very soon here, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. Just look at this beauty right here. Absolutely amazing color. This is perennial ryegrass, of course, and needs a mow, but wow, beautiful stuff. These plots over here are all looking good too. Definitely loved that rainfall that we got. So first, let's take a look at this perennial rye. You can obviously tell that it is coming in faster than pretty much anything else. The tall fescue is very close behind this, which I'll show you, but looking pretty good so far for day 8. Overall, the Slope Master stuff has been working pretty well, I think. Right here, though, you can see a little spot where maybe it's a little heavy and looks like it might be smothering. But other than that, there's still some grass underneath there. Overall, I think it's been working. I'm going to show you the difference between that and the seeding blanket, just to give you some ideas as to which one might be working better or holding things in place better or not. So that's coming up here too. So bluegrass is doing what bluegrass does, but there is quite a bit of germination in this plot. It just takes a long time for it to mature. It's going to kind of sit there and just hang out, but I saw germination at day 6 on this. This right here would be the tall fescue plot, and that's coming in very close to about the same as the ryegrass, but that's looking good. There's just a couple of spots in here too, same type of thing. Looks like this one maybe washed just slightly. There's still grass coming through, but it does look like it somewhat cakes up sometimes because it does have a tackifier in it too. Then here we have the fine fescue that's very light, closer to what the bluegrass plot looks like, but there is a lot of it coming in here too, so it won't be too long with this one. And this may or may not be a good chance right here to see the differences in color between the Kentucky 31 on the right side and your line right here on this side is the elite turf type tall fescue. So I did put some fertilizer on this section, just a granular, right before we got that rain. I can definitely tell there was a good response, but this is not looking bad for Kentucky 31. It's just that you can definitely tell this stuff is darker over here. The texture definitely has some thicker stuff in it yet on the elite stuff, but if you look over here at the Kentucky 31, looks honestly more like a pasture grass, which is kind of what it was to begin with. So actually the Kentucky 31 right now is looking better than I anticipated it would, but the reason that most people would go for that in the past was that it was a cheaper option and it was just pretty much something that you could put down in a large area and at least have some grass there to mow. But as we've seen with seed prices, even Kentucky 31 is not all that cheap anymore, and so if you can spring for just a little better option, you're gonna have a better look out of it, better mow out of it. I've been wanting to test these side by side just to give you the visuals of what it looks like. So this right here is the shade seed in full sun. So there's Kentucky bluegrass in here a small amount and perennial ryegrass a small amount, and then the other 3 in there are fine fescues. So this is gonna do fine out in the sun. It's just I want to test how much it can handle and what it looks like with it being mostly a fine fescue mix out of that shade thing. So it's doing great down in the shade, but I wanted to test it out in full sun just to give you some ideas of that. Over here I had this little tiny spot that I didn't really know what to do with, just because it was where I made this turn to make this other plot, so I just put some ryegrass down there, and look at that. That's day 8 today. This right here will be buffalo grass. It's a warm season grass though, so I'll be doing that in the spring. This is an annual ryegrass plot. You'll see a lot of times in construction or something similar where this grass will just shoot out of the ground like crazy in a matter of days. Very likely it's annual rye because it grows very quickly, doesn't take much to germinate. So right here we have the micro clover, and the first couple days I thought, what's going on with this plot? I have a lot of weeds in just this specific plot. Well, isn't that funny? That's because the clover is coming up very nice and thick. See if I can get you a close up. There. So doing very well, and I think this is about ready to take this blanket off very soon. Also definitely going to be taking that blanket off. Right here I have the turf type tall fescue and the micro clover together. I think that you can be the judge here too. I definitely think that this fescue plot looks more even and consistent with the straw blanket than it did with the Slope Master product. That's just me in my eyes, but you can be the judge of that. I actually have some right here. You can see there's definitely germination in here, but much more consistent across this plot with this blanket here. There's plenty of clover coming up in here too, so I'm really interested to see this plot with the grass and the clover together. Then this plot right here will be Kentucky bluegrass, a mono stand. I'm getting that seed in very, very soon, so it's going to be slightly later than I would like to seed it, but right after Labor Day is my plan to get this one down, and I'm gonna probably put a straw blanket on that too. Then over here, this is an area that was typically wanting to wash out a lot. As you see coming down that hill, there's a little valley right through here. So I wanted to get something growing along this so that I don't keep losing soil from here down into here. And that's just some perennial ryegrass under that blanket. So all this stuff out here right now is doing great. All that rainfall definitely helped me, and we had some warmer temperatures, but it has cooled down a lot in the evenings, which has helped a lot too. Overall, I'm very, very happy with how these are looking just 8 days in. Also wanted to show you this right here. This area was completely dormant and brown during the year. I put traffic on it. I purposely kind of beat it up to see what it was going to do. Now there's some spots in here just like I have at home. Don't look absolutely perfect, but this is ryegrass. Pretty impressed with how it's coming back. So not bad. So I finally bought myself a zero turn. This is a used one that I found for a pretty good price, and so I decided to go for it. Reason being is that as much as I love to do the walk behind mowing out here, which I have been doing all season with a 21-inch mower for the most part, you know, the more area that I get, the more things that I have to get done, and sometimes you got to get it done in a timely fashion with how much other stuff I got going on. So I think it's about time for me to get one. I do have the 72-inch deck for the Ventrac, and that's going to be really handy later in the future for that huge 1.5 acre area up there by the house. But right now down here at these plots, it's actually just a little too big for that. So if you got like 4,000 square feet and you're trying to use a 72-inch mower, there's a lot of turning around. I went in between sizes. I went with a 48-inch on this one just so that I can use this down here, get in and out of even the smaller plots. Right now I can bring it to my house and mow in the backyard and get through the gate. That's why I decided to do that, but today I get to try to get used to this thing since I've never had a zero turn mower before. So the other thing I learned was that I was mowing this on my Milwaukee at 2.5 inches, at least according to that, but it's a very light machine, so it was likely floating up on top of there. So I set this at 2.5 to go on the first pass with this. Definitely way too low. So I set it up to 3 inches and it looks a lot better there. So now for this fescue here in the middle, I think I'm gonna set it at about 4 inches, maybe even a little higher than that, and we'll see, because I know that I've been floating over top of this with that mower, so don't want to scalp this off too low. It's looking pretty good right now. So I mowed that at 4 inches, and this bluegrass fescue plot is just so crazy thick. Those wheels kind of mat everything down. Same problem I've always had with taller bluegrass. Even though it's a small amount in here, you can definitely tell a difference between this plot and the straight fescue. But either way, this one's pretty thick too. Well, as you can probably see behind me and in that clip, I'm back to my push mower already. So with rotary mowers, everything usually looks pretty good right after you do the mow. But what happens is the next day you can see how good your cut actually is or is not. I'll show you a photo that I took here. And this will show you the next day after I mowed this plot right behind me. You can definitely see here and down the middle and on the right side specifically that there's some fraying going on. And I mowed that evening at home with the same mower. Looked like everything was just fairly white on top of the grass as far as those frayed ends. So I don't really know what's happening with this. It shouldn't be the case that it's got new blades on it. They're not razor sharp, which I can definitely try to sharpen them, but it really shouldn't be doing what it's doing, even with blades that they're not dull by any means. At this point in time, I just honestly do not have enough time to go down the rabbit hole of trying to investigate a whole bunch of stuff with this machinery. I just need a mower to turn on, to mow, and to give me the cut that I need, and that's what this push mower does for me right now. So unfortunately, gotta walk some more, but I need to make sure that I keep this grass looking good here going into the fall season. That's the most important thing to me. That's just, you guys know how I am about being particular about how something looks. So right now I'm gonna probably have to figure out bringing that thing in for service or something. But unfortunately, that's where I'm at right now with that. Back to the push mowing, but getting my steps in. I'll keep you updated on all that, but thank you so much for watching today. We'll see you next time.